Greetings, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome back to the Anti-Media Radio. You're here live with host Lavonne, and live in the house tonight, in the flesh, is Miss Mega. She's pretty megalicious. She's going to talk about her philosophies, her perspectives, her dreams, and all of the cool things she's working on in the community. Mega, thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's very awesome. She invited me to her lovely space that's not even complete, and I feel honored, which is near the ocean, and it's so lovely already, and she's like just kind of put her stuff in here. It's not even where she wants it to be yet. But I already want to come back.
Yes, you're totally welcome.
I love it. So thank you for setting the stage. I appreciate it. If you guys want to call in tonight, please do. Because I'm traveling and using my phone, we can't take calls in our typical number, but I want to give you the number that you can call us on. So if you want to join the conversation tonight, just a moment, I'll tell you the perfect number is 509-554-2663. So that's the number if you want to call us tonight. It's also on the link on our Facebook if you guys didn't catch it. So call us if you want to talk. We've got lots of topics tonight, and I want to kind of hand the floor over to you, Miss Mega, and tell us how you got right here.
How I got right here?
Yeah.
That's a big question.
Isn't it? You can answer it any way you want.
Okay, well, I found out about the day I was conceived.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
It is. My dad said he remembers it, and he said that he picked my mom up.
Hey, lady.
And brought her to the bedroom, and they had the most amazing lovemaking, and it felt like something took over them, and he knew in that moment that I was conceived.
Dude, that's beautiful.
I know. I thought it was so beautiful that he told me that.
Mm-hmm. That is. Honestly, like, I always wonder, like, what kind of energy was, because I always feel like I am, like, not only a collection of every moment I've had, but precisely the energy my parents were feeling when they made me. Seriously.
Oh my gosh, totally.
I've felt that forever. I'm like, what were you doing? What was the weather like? You know, because it had to be like some sort of crazy storm or something outside. I'm a little wild lady. But how cool that you know.
I know. I'm so glad that I asked. I asked because I'm taking this Blood Mysteries course that my friend Marissa is having, and it's all about connecting to your womb and basically whatever, like we were like in our grandmother's womb before she even had
Okay. I have to insert a little piece of mystic verbiage here. My daughter is 3.
Oh, wow.
And her favorite thing to say is, I was in Grandma's belly before I was in your belly.
Really?
She literally tells us this, and my aunt and my mom are always like, that's creepy. And I'm like, do you know what's even creepier is that technically she's right.
Yeah.
Because all of women are born with all of our eggs. Mm-hmm. So we're essentially like a fractal, right? Like little people fractals. And how weird for her to say that.
That's amazing that she knows that.
But it's true.
Yeah, it's true.
It is amazing to think that way. And I think if people realize like that they're a culmination of every person they've ever been related to, like you're the most evolved version of it, I think the small stuff wouldn't matter so much, right?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Like, when I feel down, I like to remember, like, I'm the sperm that made it.
Yeah. That's a really good philosophy. That's amazing. I want to know what your galactic signature is.
I don't know.
Because you said you're like a wild one.
I'm a wild
and
one.
So I wonder if you're a storm.
Ooh, let's talk about that.
Okay.
I have had another guest in the past, maybe about 6 months ago from the Mongol tribe, and they talked a lot about the Mayan calendar and how you pronounce the word Zulkin.
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 Yeah.
Okay, Zulkin. And it so spoke to my core. Tell me how you became aware of it and how it motivated you in your life.
Well, that person from the Mongol tribe was probably the person that told me about it first.
Oh,
Nate Liu.
Yes. Miss you, Nate.
I love Nate.
He's awesome. And his family's awesome.
I
love
know.
all of them.
They lived with me for a little while, so I got to absorb all of his brain. It was amazing. It was beautiful. Every day. And that actually was a lot of part of what spun me on this path, because I didn't know a lot of the spiritual, mystical knowledge before he moved in with me. But before he moved in with me, he was hosting, I was always interested in astrology, and he was hosting these wave spell gatherings, and a wave spell is 13 days long. And so he'd have a gathering for every wave spell. And I learned just a little bit from him, but it just, something about it resonated so deeply in me. And so I just started following the daily kins every day, and there's 260 of them.
What's a kin? A
kin is a day's energy.
Okay.
And it has its own little essence.
Okay.
And there's 260 kins in the Zolkin. So speaking of wombs and everything, it's like 260 days is about a gestation cycle, so it's about 9 months. And the Zolkin cycle repeats every 260 days. And then whatever day you're born on, that's your galactic signature.
Ah! I'm so curious.
I can look yours up right now if you want.
Let's do it.
Okay. So what is your birthday?
October 25th.
October 25th.
1987.
1987. You're just 2 years older than me. Oh, see, we're both red serpents. What's that? So you're a red galactic serpent. The serpent is all about your life force vitality. It's like your instinctual nature. It's your senses, you know?
That makes sense.
And it's all related to surviving. It's also kind of related to the reptilian part of the brain. It's like,
oh, I love lizards. No,
do you love lizards?
I love lizards.
Maybe that's why.
How funny.
Yeah, so it's following that instinct, life force, what you're passionate about. So it's so important, I feel like, especially for serpents, to follow their passion. And the galactic tone is the galactic tone of integrity. So it's about being integrated and walking the walk, not just like talking the talk.
That's me for real.
Yeah.
I don't talk about anything, and I don't share anything unless I own it.
That's great.
I don't say anything unless it's like from my heart.
Uh-huh.
I really believe that.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful that you knew that from this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Zolkin, it's been around for kind of a long time.
A long time, yeah.
Just a little bit. How long are we talking about?
I don't even know, actually.
A long, like centuries, right? Quite some time.
Yeah, a long time. Like back to the, it's the Maya that's in Mexico, like Tikal. Area, so it's like old, and I should know this. But...
It's okay, we can learn together. That's what this is about. Someone asked me today when I was talking about the show, they're like, I thought the Mayan calendar ended.
A lot of people say that.
So explain that to me. Like, how it didn't end?
No, everything's cyclical in the Mayan calendars.
Okay.
Everything is a cycle.
So it just goes around.
And so it just was the end of a cycle.
It was the end of a cycle.
Yeah, but it's beginning again. And it's kind of like how people say that we're in the age of Aquarius now, and this is the new age. It's the same with the Mayans. Like, we're in like a new age. It's just the end of one era and the beginning of another one.
Yeah, I can agree to that in a sense, especially what's going on globally.
Yeah, so in the Law of Time organization is the organization that's bringing all of this information out in a more modern way. Like, they've kind of like, Jose Arguelles is the one that reinterpreted the Zolkin and kind of made English names for it.
Okay, that was going to be one of my questions is how do we have a resignation in our words from these symbols. Like, who determined that? His name is what again?
Jose Arguelles.
Okay.
Yeah. He's an amazing magical man. He passed away before the December 21st, 2012 date, but he was the one that prophesied that date as the beginning of a new era. And the way he saw it, and what it really resonates and feels like to me, is that we are now entering a time where we're all connected. We're like seeing our connection of the one mind, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's all these meditations that the Law of Time organization puts out so we can be in resonance with each other and like connect what they call to the noosphere. And it's this like, it's like this,
that's what I would call the collective consciousness.
Exactly. So apparently that's what this new era is about, is like before everything was dominated by the physical, and now it's going to be more dominated by this collective cosmic mind, cosmic consciousness.
Do you know that Nikola Tesla and Albert Einstein, two of my inspirations in this lifetime for sure, both of them brilliant things, like beyond comprehension, the things they imagined. And what's even more magical about that is that they both didn't credit themselves for their discoveries, for the things they knew, for the things they invented. They both said, you know, via quiet time or meditation or deep contemplation or aloneness, to quote some of their words, they would receive, like they both use the word conduit. That's how I feel. They would receive things just instantaneously. They would know things that they didn't know before, even if they were asleep. And we've heard so many great minds talk about that, you know, that grabbing of knowledge from the collective, our cloud, I guess. It's like our cloud, people's cloud storage. But it's a thing. It's, you know, that a lot of people have talked about, and I personally feel like I've touched a realm that could be considered that.
Yeah, me too.
Right? Like, people always wonder, oh, were you on drugs? And I'm like, well, the chemicals my body produces naturally are kind of like drugs. So maybe, like, did I take any other drugs? No, but, you know, I just have a different perspective of the body I'm in. And it sounds like you do too. Like, tell me about some of your experiences.
Well, I actually had like a whole awakening experience one day in my apartment, and it just came over me.
What was that like? Like, what were you doing? Or...
I decided I was going to write a book.
I like that.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, I feel like almost that decision is what gifted me this awakening, and I found myself sort of stuck in the paradox. Like, I could see how there wasn't, I kept like just couldn't speak truth. I realized I just couldn't speak the unspeakable, you know? And then this like presence, like awareness just sort of came into me, and I just got downloaded with like a bunch of information, and one of them was ignorance is the root of all evil. And then I was like, wait, Socrates said that, you know? But it just like, exactly, it was like, I was like tapped into that bubble, and like just saw everyone as awakened, enlightened beings, and everything as love, and everything as okay. And I even like, I didn't grow up religious. My parents never took us to church. But I even...
What were your views on religion prior to that moment?
Well...
Not to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Because I'm good at
that. I like the flow of it. It's when I was like in high school, I grew up in a very like Mormon Catholic area, and I saw a lot of judgment in my community. So when I was like in 9th grade, I decided I was an atheist, you know? I was like, no God would judge his creation or whatever, you know? And I didn't understand. And then after that, I was more agnostic and sort of always had this moral conviction And then prior to that awakening experience, I had embraced like a universal spirituality of just trusting and knowing that I can just listen, to the guidance, and allowed myself to open up that way. And so, but in this awakening that I experienced, I actually like felt that I was Jesus and everyone was Jesus.
You felt that feeling?
Uh-huh.
That's beautiful. I've had that feeling.
Yeah.
You call it Jesus, I call it the universe or the source. Or, we all have a different name for it.
Yes. But that was what was weird, was that Jesus specifically, and that Christ was my savior. And
That's
then
beautiful.
I also saw everyone as Buddha. It was like the Christ Buddha consciousness that I experienced, what people call Christ Buddha consciousness. But I had never had like a relationship with Jesus so that was, I understood too why people have, like born again Christian and those experiences, and definitely had my own little period of not knowing how to integrate it properly and getting egotistical in a lot of ways too. Mm-hmm. Even though I saw everyone as one, but
you kind of to interject like my personal experience, and I think it's kind of beautiful that it happens this way to a lot of people apparently that I've talked to.
Yeah.
Like when you become aware of everything, for a moment you are egotistical because ego goes, or what we call ego goes, ha ha, I have done this achievement. I am so great, ha ha. I did this thing. Look at all those people down there not doing this thing. You kind of have this moment of like, you're slightly, quote unquote, better than the other. And then you get smacked very quickly in the face with the other side of the coin with going, you obviously didn't learn very well, did you? So it's beautiful how each of us has a different path, but we all kind of come to this same realization when the time's right.
Yeah.
And you can't force anyone to realize any particular thing.
No.
And I feel like what our Creator has told me is that most of the time we're all talking about exactly the same thing. Okay? Most of the time we are all talking about the same thing. However, we use different words. And that's where we have a miscommunication. It's because there's so many words that mean the same thing. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of words that are the same that mean complete English sucks. Let's just be real, And I think a lot of the times people get caught up on words. And that's why I really like the Zolkin, because it's symbology, symbols. And it's interesting how things correlate. Like, what have you noticed since you're awakening, you're changing perspective? What happened after that?
At that point, I had so much trust and faith. I just released all of those little worries that we talked about, and everything felt synchronistic, and so I just trusted every step of the way, and for when I was in my right mind, I would kind of I didn't think I was perfect or better than anyone else, but it was and I didn't think I knew everything, but I felt like I could learn from everything that happened when I was in that place of trust. Now I know it just comes from being in that loving place rather than fear, because so much of my life I sort of was conditioned to be fearful and worried and stressed out and think of I need to do this and that and make sure these people are happy and
I'm nodding my head because yeah. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Richland, Washington.
So you grew up in Washington. I grew up here. Mm-hmm. I feel exactly that same way.
Yeah.
How many Americans do you think feel that way?
Everybody.
Yeah. Hey, guess what, people listening? You're normal. That's called societal pressure. That's called I have anxiety and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't even know how stressed I was. Mm-hmm. Because it was just my natural
That's
state.
how I am right now, yeah. I mean, in the time when you're in that state, you don't realize till you
get out of that state or something.
Yeah, until you're not going 100 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And you allow yourself to have moments of clarity. It's like time can go much slower. Isn't that amazing? Mm-hmm. How you can slow down time just by harnessing your energy. Like, people don't know that. Mm-hmm. That is so powerful. Mm-hmm. Like, what's been your experience since you wore this? Like, you've had all this synchronistic experience.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's easier to kind of bring yourself back to that state?
Totally.
As time goes on?
Yeah, and I'm learning as I go the tools, because when I first entered that place, I didn't quite know how I got there, and I didn't know quite what it was, and so I've had to learn through, falling or, being triggered or whatever. I've learned all sorts of tools. Like, I got actually really triggered, like, a year after the awakening. Mm-hmm. Obviously, something needed to be worked out, and ended up going to a brain retraining seminar. Dynamic neural retraining system is what they're called, DNRS. And so I learned all these tools of how to, when you're in really intense fight or flight modes, mm-hmm. how to notice it and then rewire it to the piece of your true nature.
It's called cognitive restructuring.
Okay.
It's a beautiful tool. Mm-hmm. I use the same exact tool, cognitive therapy, mm-hmm. to deal with what society calls anxiety, mm-hmm. what I call trying to fit a mold.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
And it's so wonderful that you had that experience.
Yeah.
What kind, can you share one of those tools?
Yeah.
Like, what would you do? Say you're in a fight or flight.
Mm-hmm. Well, the first step that I learned in this program was to say, stop, 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 with a smile on my face. And to acknowledge what's happening. And so I learned, these steps. And so I go through these steps, acknowledge what's happening, acknowledge behaviors that I did in the past that would just enforce this traumatic pathway, mm-hmm. and decide not to do them, and then acknowledge that I had the choice to change my state.
What? You could choose that?
You can choose, yeah.
What? What an amazing concept. I like that. Continue.
And then, so this whole, step-by-step approach also involves, a higher self. And so my higher self is good job, Megan. You, mm-hmm. making this choice. Everything's going to be great. So much better for you. I love you. You're amazing. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of you. And then talk to the limbic system, which is the fight or flight center of the brain, like it is a 2 or 3-year-old. It's kind of like your inner child, because that's how it responds.
I like that comparison. Mm-hmm. That's true, right?
It is.
It really is. I'm so glad I have that realization right now.
So you say, it's okay, I have everything under control. It's I know that why you're freaking out, but you're safe now. You don't have to be scared. And then ask myself, what state do you choose? And whatever, I'm centered, or I feel calm. And then, I'm giving all the secrets of this program away, but
sorry,
that's okay. I'm just helping people. And so then you go into visualization of a time where you felt really good and connected and peaceful, and speak about it as if it was present tense, and add sensory and breathe it in and ground it in, and then also project that into the future, a future situation that maybe might make you anxious. Then you see yourself, in that, I'm giving a speech in front of everyone, and I feel, so good, and everyone is smiling at me,
I like that. I can see how that would be beneficial. It's like a self-guided meditation / cognitive restructuring technique.
Exactly. It's kind of a shamanic healing too, like pulling those peaceful places, those peaceful moments into your current being. Yeah.
I like that you shared that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All rights and reservations go to blah, blah, blah,
Dynamic Neural Retraining System.
Don't sue Miss Mega. Suckers. Hey, I was just covering your butt there. You never know.
Thanks. Well, and, for anyone who could use this information, that program is specifically geared to people with anxiety, multiple chemical sensitivities, and chronic fatigue, which I was experiencing that prior to the whole awakening experience, and also when I got triggered, and some PTSD stuff and fibromyalgia. So these this is a big revolutionary thing. People don't know, like a lot of doctors wouldn't be able to understand what chronic fatigue is. They're like, nothing's wrong with you, you're just crazy, you know? But they actually did find that people with chronic fatigue and MCS and those issues have more gray area in the brain.
Gray matter.
And I don't know exactly what that means, but even as I've been retraining, I've felt like these electric shocks in my brain, and I don't know if it's like shocking my brain back alive or if like new neural pathways are connecting or old ones are disconnecting.
Yeah, I think gray matter is really important. I can't remember its precise duty. I don't want to misquote myself. But how wonderful to be aware of that.
Oh my God, it seriously changed everything.
I like that you made the connection between old feelings or experiences, what you call triggers, also known as a trauma, that I feel like as people, we're taught that we're not allowed to feel things. You know, we're viewed in an allopathic model, like you're just a woman. You know, that's very generalization. Instead of you're this, you're a healer, you're a teacher, your lymph system, your neurological system, your muscular system, your skeletal system. We have all these systems, and I feel like our emotions plays a major part in our health. You know, it creates the chemicals in your brain, which creates a chain reaction everywhere. And I feel like we're expected to experience all these complex things that can be traumatic, and then we don't have the tools to let them out. And I feel like so many people are, you know how most Americans are obese? I think they're full to the brim of experience. And they're just sick and toxic with all of the things that they've ever experienced in life school. You know, the moment's full of so many lessons. I feel like if you don't like have a defrag moment and you don't like contemplate them, ponder them, and then process them and choose to apply them or not, if you don't do that, you got this stagnancy in your being. And we're not taught that. And no one's saying, hey, kid, what was your day like? Let's think about the things we experienced today. Right. How did that make you feel? Like, I wish that was like a common thing. Oh, that made you feel bad. Yeah. Well, it's okay to have that feeling. You know, like how you're talking about how you talk to your inner child. I wish that all of us got talked to that way. You know, let's be real. Like, especially in our country, no child was nourished properly because mom and dad both have to work, also known as trade their life for dumb shit. You know, and then they're not raising their kids. But who is? TV? Or I don't know what. No judgment. But I feel like we're feeling the effects of that from 100 years ago, even longer.
Yeah.
So my question is how do we give people that power? Like, how do you want to give people that power?
Yeah, well, one thing I want to bring up is that when you're in a fight or flight place, your detox system isn't working, nor is your digestion or your immune system. So like a lot of illnesses are the result of people being in fight or flight. Stress is like the number one killer.
We talk about stress a lot on this show. Cool. Trust me, it's like Gravity and stress are my main topics. You guys know, though. You, my listeners, know what's up. Tell us. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, well, so I've sort of always had this thirst for truth, and I know you do too, because we both have the warrior as our hidden mastery, and the warrior is all about questioning fearlessly, like seeking the answers.
Yeah.
So I learned Reiki and the brain retraining, and then I also started doing shamanic healing class and practicing shamanic healing, which is, and just another way to express changing your neural pathways, So I am now at the point where I'm offering shamanic healings and Reiki, and yeah, I love it. It brings me so much purpose. It's so fun, and it's just the best.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank
My
you.
cheeks hurt. That's awesome. I think Reiki is beautiful. It's such a beautiful healing modality.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful that they're accepting it into modern medicine now. They allow patients in hospitals to receive Reiki, and they see nothing but benefit. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. Reiki is Reiki. Mm-hmm. I love Reiki. Check it out, friends, if you are curious. You want to tell them a little about it?
Yeah, so basically Reiki is just allowing yourself to be a channel for a source or universe or love, whatever you want to call it, to come through you and move energy in the patient. And it's super simple. You just activate your hands with a prayer with the intention. You put your hands wherever they want to go, and the energy moves wherever it needs to. And it's also just about not owning it, like you said, like Albert Einstein. Mm-hmm. It's like you allow yourself to be a clear channel, and it's something bigger than you. So that's what I love about Reiki, is there's no pressure to conform or to be a certain thing. You just allow the energy to work through you. And I like to use intuitive skills now that I've learned too with shamanic healing, and I'll see people's past life stories, that they're maybe the past is the present, there's only one moment, but people will be playing like these past stories of lack, right? Of like this time I was wounded, and now I'm creating my universe based on feeling that that's what's going to happen to me again or whatever. So I'll see those stories or, certain just thought forms or energies, and help clear them through Reiki.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have her do that to me, guys. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you all about it next time. Seriously. I've been telling the universe, I'm so curious about past lives. I know my spirit is not new. Mm-hmm. I knew that, I'm not kidding, since an infant. Mm-hmm. I was born with a consciousness. Mm-hmm. And I didn't tell people that until 2 years ago, because nobody wanted to hear anything like that until recently. Think about it. All of us people were like, oh, stuff and things. I gotta go places. I gotta buy stuff. The majority of us grew up in that paradigm. Mm-hmm. And it took us a while. If you hear this is for you. It took you a while to kind of realize, maybe I'm here for something else. Mm-hmm. And I like to remind people that you have a thing that you're supposed to do, and you know what it is. Mm-hmm. That's for you. And I love talking to people like you, Miss Mega, who allow themselves to become aware of what it is they're supposed to do. So if I can support you in that, just like you're supporting me in what I like to do, which is talk to awesome people, I'm going to do that for you. Thank you. You can practice your magic on me.
Yes, I would love to. I have so much fun doing it.
I'm stoked. So can we talk more about this Zolkin awesomeness?
Yes. So
not that I don't care about those other things.
Oh yeah, well, you mentioned helping, people having a mission, a purpose, and that's why I love the Zolkin, because it helps people see their mission.
For real?
Symbolize it.
Everybody?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that.
So like you're the red galactic serpent, and your mission, the wave spell you were born in was the white mirror. And the white mirror is all about reflecting, like being a witness for people and showing people maybe what's not in alignment so that they can accept that and realign themselves with like the new divine order or whatever. It's the endless order, like reflection. It's just endless.
Oh.
Yeah. Does that resonate with you?
Totally. I feel like in my life, I'm not even kidding, because I'm very aware of the experiences I have. Mm-hmm. I have been for a long time. And more importantly, it's like, what can I take from this? Mm-hmm. And I grew up in a really challenging situation, mm-hmm. like super abusive and neglectful. Mm-hmm. But mm-hmm. I didn't let it get me down. Mm-hmm. Even from the time I was like a little girl, mm-hmm. I was like, I got this. Mm-hmm. You know, I just had this inner strength that I couldn't always find, but that I knew was there. Mm-hmm. And my whole life, there's been kind of a theme of, I don't know how to say it, like being a crutch almost. Like, and I have used the word mirror to myself when I'm pondering these experiences. Like, I feel like I come into someone's life to help them realize something. Mm-hmm. And I'm always that friend or that person that goes, I call people out on their shit, basically. Yeah. And I'm not afraid to do it. Yeah. But I can do it in a way that's most of the time, and I've learned how to be less blunt and more loving and compassionate over the years. Yeah. But it's kind of my role in everyone's life is I kind of go, but people trust me. Like random strangers walk up to me and they go, I have to tell you my life story. I swear. They tell me, they go, you have a message for me. And this has happened my whole life. My goodness. And random people just walk up to me and they grab my hands and they're like, my wife's cheating on me. Oh. And I want to kill myself. Swear to God, I want to kill myself, and I don't want to be here anymore. Total strangers, mm-hmm. And I just find that strength, and I know that there's something I have to tell them. Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like totally, that happens to me, and it just kind of became a normal thing. Yeah, but every time I'm in someone's life, sorry, friend, we do that for each other. Totally, though. You know, I'm not saying I'm the best because I'm not, but that's interesting that this tells me that. Yes. How do you know this, Sophie? How do you know?
It's so amazing. And you're guided by the moon, too, which is...
for real.
The red moon, it's all about being a conduit for consciousness and having... It's like the messenger a lot. It's also this, like, the sensitive healer. So, like, the moon... I'm guided by the moon, too. So we have a lot in common because we're both serpents guided by the moon. So, and we're in the red moon wave spell right now, which is...
And we're brought together. How interesting.
I know. That's how this thing works.
Here you are.
Yep. And that's what's so cool is, like, it's not something to, like, mentally latch onto, which I have done before, but it's just another confirmation of what is already unfolding and a tool, like, exactly, like, I use this you can add yourself up with somebody and like see what your mission is together. And that's super helpful because, you know, also every kin has like a challenge and a focus of growth that becomes a strength. And so if you're having a challenge with someone, then just looking this up, it just brings so much awareness. And so there's basically these 20 seals and 10 of them have like, 10 of them are yin and 10 of them are yang, and they're like, there's an opposite one for each one. So it's like this idea, it's like there's infinite possibility. There's never one way to react to a situation. There's always this opposite way, too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's why I love it. It really, like, takes in the full human experience and is, it sort of shows you what your higher self, like your star cosmic being is, which we all are, you know.
For real.
Yeah.
And how do people access this? Like, is this something people can utilize easily? Or I know you might be working on something.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I'm working on an app that our goal was to release it by the day at a time, but it's still has some progress we made, and I want to make sure I release it, and it's really good. So there's this app that I'm using right now that already exists. It's the 1320 Sync. That's what it's called.
Okay.
It's 13 like that double colon.
Semicolon,
like the two dots.
Dots, yeah. Pretty sure that's semicolon.
13 semicolon 20 semicolon sync. SYNC.
Okay.
And it's like the most amazing app. The app I'm working on is kind of a bridge for people because like this is still really confusing for people to just jump into. There's still a lot of questions. So the app I'm working on is very similar, and there's an affirmation for each day, for each kin. And it also allows people to plan their lives to the 13 moon calendar of natural time. So it's like a planner calendar for your phone.
That's awesome.
So that's what's different about it. And there is one kind of like that already, but it's not. Mine's more of a bridge. So, and yeah, it's awesome because I just want to help people like leave the Gregorian, which is like this nonsensical system.
Dude, Gregorian calendar. We could talk about that for an hour. Just another means of control.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, look up the history of that calendar.
Yeah.
It's batshit crazy, and I'm irritated that I follow it.
Yeah, that's why I want
the reals.
Yeah. So if like one thing just to shout out is October. Oct means 8, but it's the 10th month.
Right.
You know, and Augustus wanted an extra day because Julius had 31 days in his month, so he took a day from February. And that's why February is so short.
And what's this leap year thing? I'm not okay with this leap year thing because my brain starts doing all kinds of math and realizing that the time that they say it is can't actually be.
Really?
You know, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's because apparently the solar cycle is 365 days, 0.25. So it's to balance
it out. I get it.
Yeah, so every 4 years you add an extra day.
I still don't like it.
No, like in this system, they talk about how 12 hours, you know, if you go to lawoftime.org foundation, they talk about how 12 hours, it's just that number 12 isn't harmonic. And so the whole time thing is messed up. Of course, we all follow clocks and follow hours, and so that's just kind of what we're doing, but they don't actually honor leap year in the system.
Woo! I like it already. That's my number one requirement.
It's kind of like a 0 day leap year.
That's perfect.
So it doesn't really exist. And so, yeah, I mean, that's part of like the revolution right now is like we think we live in modern times, but we're following this really old, weird calendar. There's 13 moon cycles a year of roughly 28 days. And so in the 13-moon calendar of natural time, there's 13 months of 28 days. That's 364 days.
Oh.
And then there's 1 day out of time to celebrate.
I love the day out of time.
Me too.
It's on Monday.
Yeah.
You're having an event, aren't you? Okay, San Diegans, listen to me right now because right there the world beats dinner on Monday.
Yeah, Monday evening, 5 to 10. We're going to have live music. Everyone can dress up as their galactic signature.
Oh, what's mine again?
The red galactic serpent.
Okay.
And so we do like sacred theater. My mentor taught me this is everyone dresses up as their signature, and then we go through the 20 seals, which serpent is one of them. And it's so empowering. You get to see what everybody is and like talk about each of the archetypes, you know. And
archetypes?
Well, these are all archetypes, you know.
Sorry, I'm not hip with your lingo.
Yeah, archetypes. So, like, you know, like in Western astrology, like the Libra, Scorpio, those are all archetypes.
Archetypes, got it.
And so that's just, I think in archetypes.
Okay, I hear you.
You know, there's like the Joker, there's like the dad, there's, you know, the mother nurturer, there's like the, you know, artist and the philosopher, you know, and like we're all these like unique mixtures.
Does it say philosopher anywhere in mine now that you said that word? I'm just curious. Because I'm pretty philosophical.
Yeah, you are. Well, I mean, the fact that your hidden mastery, which is like your innate power that just comes naturally to you, is the warrior, which is all about expanding in consciousness. and questioning forth fearlessly. You know, not a lot of people have that innate ability. And so when I realized that, I was like, okay, this is why I can, like, traverse this, and, like, I'm all excited to learn about ETs and these things that other people are, like, kind of scared to, you know.
Well, that's because, quote unquote, we're not allowed to. That's taboo.
You can't, partially, yeah.
You can't talk about things like that.
Yeah, you're right. I just don't understand.
I'm not saying that you can't actually right now. I'm just saying that's the general feels based on that, you know. And I always go back to Mr. Einstein and Tesla, and everything's energy, you know. I think what we call an alien is just another vibration. Mm-hmm. Seriously, what do you think?
Yeah, totally. I mean, so that's another passion of mine is ET contact expeditions.
You're not the only person who's talked to me about this.
Really?
No. Tell me.
Okay. I don't know. I love connecting with ETs, and I've had some really powerful and intense experiences with it, and they're here, and they're just, like, to me, that's another revolutionary step that we can take is, you know, they're highly evolved beings. Some of them are, like, millions of years more evolved than us. They have access to all of these different dimensions, you know, and the fact that a lot of us don't utilize this resource and connect with them, when they have clean energy, you know, that's how they travel interdimensionally. They have clean energy, you know, where our planet is dying because we're extracting all of her resources. It's just not necessary. Like, we have access to...
Well, and why do you think... See, I don't have this knowledge. Okay. I'm not on that level.
Okay.
That's not my mission. That's your mission, and that's okay. But what I would want to know is, as an advanced being, like, are they here to help? Like, would you say?
Yeah, of course.
Where are they? Are they tiny? Because I think aliens are bacteria. Like, if I were an alien, I would be teeny, teeny, tiny bacteria, and I would take over everything, and you wouldn't even know it.
Well, see,
I've often thought aliens are bacteria.
Well, they're just in another dimension. Okay. You know, they're in these other dimensions that are in the more subtle realms. You know, when you have dreams, where is that happening? You know, it's not happening in the physical 3D world.
It's kind of like the same thing of asking, where do your feelings come from? Mm-hmm. They don't come. They're not made in your heart. Yeah, like.
Their energy.
Or where do your ideas come from?
Emotions are energy.
It's energy. Yeah. On a quantum level, it's a flash of light.
Yeah, and that's so. There's a big So this is getting into a whole expansive topic. Yeah, but
we have to come back and talk to you again.
Yeah, I would
for real.
Love that.
You're welcome back.
Yay! I have so much.
But tell me.
They're definitely my personal experience with them is they're definitely here to help. They're more evolved than us. Like, they have access to all these other dimensions. When you get into the 5th dimension, you already see that we are one. You can't really access it and stay in it if you don't realize that, you know. So there's a lot of BS out there that talk about, you know, evil aliens and stuff. And unfortunately, the government, you know, the corrupt government, the cabal, the media purposely supports that because obviously they have, you know, the oil industry is the hugest industry, they're making so much money. So it's because they have access to clean energy, because we wouldn't have to depend on a centralized power, that they don't want us to know about them. And if we know about them, then at least we need to make them evil so that we can have to depend on a centralized power to help protect us or fight against the evil aliens. So it's really important that people read that philosophy, and there's so many other things that we can get into about what is going on to perpetuate this idea that evil aliens exist. But to me, that it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, they're energy, and they can manifest into the 3rd dimension. And so I've seen lots of orbs and ships, actually, full-blown ships, and even a little fairy being. My friend and I saw a little very ET.
That's cool.
And you know, we were totally sober.
And you weren't hanging out with any Goombas or any other magical things
no.
that may or may not induce that.
Lots of meditation.
Just you went to another realm.
Yeah, well, I mean,
or you opened yourself
exactly.
to it.
Yeah.
See, I have a question for you
Uh-huh.
because I'm a very spiritual lady. I like to do the things you're talking about, meditate and allow myself to be a conduit. But I understand the universal truth of yin and yang, what we call yin and yang, the polar opposites.
Yeah.
There's always another side of the coin.
Totally.
And my Christian uncle, when we have our spiritual conversations, he tells me that you've got to be careful when you're susceptible energetically, because what he calls the devil, quote unquote the devil, or what I call dark energy, or there's light energy and there's dark energy. Yeah. What he calls the devil, I call dark energy. I'm not sure what you call it.
Yeah.
But how do you be aware of that but not allow it to affect you? Because my uncle likes to say that, and he's important to me, so I'm referencing him. And I know a lot of people fear the devil or dark energy. And how do you not live your life in fear of that? You can still be empathetic and compassionate, but protect yourself. Like, how do you make sure you're not influenced by the devil?
So to me, fear is what we have to fear, right?
Right.
That quote. And so, like, when someone is being fearful or there's some fearful energy around you, the greatest protection you can have is to love.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
To love, or you have amusement even, to like laugh at it, or just, and there's a this sort of relates to like my experience the past couple days. It's like, how do you be compassionate to someone who maybe is being possessed by fear, and show them that you care and like help them, but not like let that get into your space. And it's just simply like deciding, having the boundary, like, I'm not going to let fear like influence me, like I'm not going to let any thoughts of lack or any thoughts of like I think lack is, I don't know the best word I can think of right now.
You're just setting an intention, kind of.
Yeah.
Like a state of being.
Yeah, and you can do visual stuff too. Like you can imagine like a waterfall like over you and like just cleansing everything that's dark away from you.
A lot of people like to imagine light.
Yeah, or light, or yeah, all of those things help, especially if you're feeling in a sensitive place, But for me, I think just watching your thoughts is the best thing that you can do. And like thoughts is kind of like steamroll, you can't always control them, but just choosing which thoughts you believe in and which ones that you don't, Mindfulness. Yeah, just being super aware,
That itself is a practice, a meditative practice.
Yeah.
So if you're working on that, keep working, because
good job.
Right? Oh my gosh, we've covered so many topics tonight, Mega. I want you to go back over the website.
Yeah.
For both this tool and the one you're going to be releasing. And hopefully we can talk to you before it actually releases.
Yeah, I love that.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, so the website, the organization that just gives this information out for free, if you want to learn more about the Tzolk'in and the 13-moon calendar of natural time and the day out of time, is lawoftime.org. And you can find the 1320 Sync app on there and their calendar app on there. And then the app I'm working on is called Aura. And the website is auraplanner.com.
Woo!
Yeah.
And how do people follow you? Do you want any new followers?
Sure, I love followers.
Do you have an Instagram? And
yeah,
all that jazz?
do. It's Mega Mystic.
Woo! Mega Mystic.
Yeah. Yeah, please follow me. And I'm sort of working on, for a long time I've been on this healing path, and I'm just kind of working on now, like, expressing it and putting myself out there. So I've been doing daily affirmations based on the current Vulcan day on my Instagram. So you can.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to check that out. If anybody wants to call in, have any questions for Miss Megan in our last few minutes about maybe how the Zolkin relates to you, again, that number is 509-554-2663. Our number's a little different tonight, just for tonight, because of my awesome setup here. But I really enjoyed hearing about your experience as a being and your perspective from a moment of unawareness to now. I love when people share that aspect with me of who they are, because I feel like we don't talk about that enough in our culture. And when we do, we use very specific terms that for centuries have been used not only out of context, but they don't have the same feeling behind them, So thank you for being a human, what I call a human being, not a human doing. And I feel like we shared a lot of love on, not off tonight, which is like my whole goal on Friday. I try and balance the crazy ass stuff that goes on in backwards land.
Yeah.
And I like to thank our audience for sticking with us. Any last thoughts, Miss, before we sign off for the evening?
I just want to thank you too, and I'm so excited. This is so fun.
Thank you. And just nice organic conversation.
Yeah, it's how everything should be done. In my opinion.
There's never any planning for me and my guests. Like, I literally meet them and I creep them out because I don't talk to them very much until I meet them, and they're all like, "Who is this lady?" And I'm like, "I just want you to be natural. We're gonna have a super organic conversation, like no planning." And we do it, and it's beautiful every time. And I'm so grateful that I'm on this journey right here, right now, and people care to listen to us and our empowering messages. And hopefully they take the things that we teach them and do it again.
I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo.
This is JJ Inc. from Against the Wall, and you're listening to UCY.